Hi, I'm Nancy Loomis, and I'm just here to say, don't go out there.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie
Welcome back,
Podcast.
everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. We really appreciate all support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, I just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoutthere.com. My man Brian has done a fantastic job with the website. He's got it looking great. Everything about our podcast is on there. All of our episodes and interviews from episode 1 to our weekly release. If you want to check out all of our episodes there, maybe you have an office job, don't have access to your phone, you can listen on your desktop computer. We've done some incredible interviews in the past with some of the biggest names in horror, some of your favorite slashers, writers, directors. Check out our interviews if you haven't heard those yet. We got our store. We got some new T-shirts. Brian and Dustin have done some fantastic designs if you want to check those out. And we also have Shan's Etsy page attached as well if you want to grab a tumbler. And we also have our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We love interacting with our fans. We love, meeting new people. We love answering your comments and questions on the air. So definitely check us out on social media. And the last thing I want to shout out is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. You're a big fan of our podcast, a big fan of our show. You want to help support us. That option is available. And we also have one-time donations. If you want to donate and, if you have a film review you want us to do, that option is available as well. All right, guys, let's jump into the film review. We're continuing with our theme of blood donor reviews. This week is final guide donor, Mr. Randy Smith. He chose the 1982 already cult classic. I'm saying already, like 1982 was like last year or something. But cult classic Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. It's kind of a weird time of the year to review this movie, but I would say this is one that's overdue. And Halloween 2. I think we're going to do Halloween 2 this year anyways, but it's one we should have been done by now. Anywho, quick thoughts. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would. I thought I was going to hate it. I was dreading it when I saw that he picked it and he tweeted the account what he had picked on Twitter. I was like, oh God, here we go. But I went into it with a better, mindset, attitude, and it's not perfect. I'm not saying I love the movie. It's definitely not in the top 5 or anything like that, but I did have a lot more fun with it, especially after we did like The Fog a few weeks ago. I kind of had Tom Atkins on the mind, John Carpenter on the mind. So yeah, I didn't hate this movie anywhere near as bad as I thought I would. Brian, you want to go next?
Yeah, so I actually used to hate this movie. I was one of those people who skipped it during Halloween marathons for sure. I wanted to see Myers, and I gave it some unfair hate over the last 30 years that I've been watching horror movies. Now, with that said, I still don't like it, but I'm able to look at it through the lens of it being Season of the Witch, not necessarily Halloween. So
yeah,
I found a new respect for it. Kind of like I do Friday the 13th Part 5, if that makes sense. Back then, I used to love watching the Halloween series, which only ran through 6 back then. And so this stood out like a sore thumb, and I skipped this motherfucker like with a haste. But, fast forwarding 20 plus years, we've gotten another timeline. We've gotten 2 series, killing movies basically, and Resurrection and Ends. And although I'd rank Resurrections as a whole a better film than Part 5, but Part 5 didn't kill the series. But anyway, my point is the idea that Carpenter and company had with this movie, to turn the series into an anthology series actually doesn't seem such a bad idea now.
Right. I agree.
I know this thing has, become a cult classic for many over the years, and I respect that. Now, since I think with streaming, and I was mentioning this the other day to the guys, so I had it on the brain. So when I was taking notes, I wrote it down. But, the cult classic is going to die, and honestly, that really sucks because a theater failure like this, I don't think it'll get the chance to live on through, VHS or DVD. It'll just be deleted from existence.
Because I was going to say it the other day when you said it in the text, but I don't think it's going to die because it may not be on Netflix, but it may be on Max. It may not be on Max, but God knows Tubi has everything that's shitty under the sun. So if it's one of those movies that's just not good,
not such a the entertainer, it doesn't. Oh, sorry.
It'll probably get put on Tubi or
maybe,
Shudder.
But what I'm saying is like they like studios, I mean, they can just wipe it from existence if they wanted to. They can delete it off of anything if they wanted to. And whereas, like, you couldn't do that if you already had, a million DVDs or VHSs out in the world. I don't know. I hope that it doesn't happen. I truly hope that it doesn't happen. But, kind of going back to this, like I said, like this was a cult classic and it is a cult classic, and I hope that doesn't go away. But anyway, so do I like this movie? No, I do not. I'm not going to go grab it. I'm not going to put it on literally ever, but I don't loathe it like I used to. I respect trying to do something different with the franchise, as absurd as this 1980s plot is. And, to be fair, in a world now of different multiverses anyway, everywhere and franchises everywhere, does this have a home? Yes, I think it has a home. It's just not my home.
Okay. I like the movie. Now, I don't love this movie. And if you go all the way back to our very first Halloween ranking show that we did way back in the beginning of the podcast, I'm the only one that had any kind of positivity to say about this thing. I went back and listened just to double check because I know I like to flip-flop occasionally. But I was the only one that gave it any kind of positive remarks on that show. Now, I don't think I loved it or heaped a bunch of praise on it, but I think I was, gassed at for not having it dead last. And I remember, liking it for what it is. And, you mentioned it. No, it doesn't have Myers. When you go into it with the mindset that I'm not seeing a Michael Myers film, it's a much better experience. So I can imagine someone in the 80s popping this thing in and being like, where the fuck is Michael Myers? I know that Myers isn't in the film, so I can enjoy it for what it is. And it's just a goofy horror 80s movie. Like, I don't think it's anything great, but I certainly don't think it's bad. I actually really like the plot, the idea of these masks to kind of control the world on Halloween night. I think that's like a fun, you mentioned a cinematic universe. To me, this would almost work better as like an installment in a series, like an hour-long episode of like Halloween, the anthology, or something along those lines, like just like a creepy story to tell people on Halloween and, the origins of Halloween and all that stuff that it kind of dives into here. Plus, it has I know, and Dustin agrees, and it is a complaint that I see online, but I could not disagree more, in that this tune is catchy to me, man. I love the Halloween little jingle. I do. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I think it's fun. It's, it's a little fun thing. And look, I think the acting is decent for what it is. Some pretty strong character work. But at the same time, to me, the biggest strength this movie has is the music. Like, here's another Halloween movie where the music is its own character, not just the jingle, but some of the other synth music that we hear throughout. I think they did a great job. Fun little movie. There's a lot of problems I have with it. It has an unnecessary relationship throughout the entire thing, in my opinion, but I'll save that for when we break it down. Go ahead, Dustin.
First of all, let me say, fuck the jingle. Second of all, when Randy picked this movie, shout out to Randy. He's been a great supporter to the show, and he's been a great supporter to my other projects and Mike and I other projects, other podcasts we've had. So shout out to Randy. But when he picked this movie, I audibly groaned. I wasn't on the original Halloween ranking episode that you guys did. That was before I joined the show. But I was on the 31 of 31, obviously, where we ranked all the major three franchises. And I don't remember where I had this movie, but I know it was near the bottom. I think I may have actually had it dead last. But man, in the swerve of the century, I actually liked it this time, I think. I've been kayfabing you guys. I haven't said anything since I watched it in the group chat or nothing. I've been kind of keeping up the ruse that I hated it, but watching it this time, I liked it more. Now, it's definitely not a perfect movie, and I wouldn't say that necessarily. I wouldn't wholeheartedly say that I liked it. I think I like it. It's got its flaws. I went into it with a negative mindset, and when you do that, obviously you're going to watch it and just nitpick it to death and hate it usually. But I went into it with a negative mindset and was like, oh yeah, this isn't that bad. So there are some issues I have with it, particularly in the final act that I'll get to. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I have a hard time separating it. This is a Halloween movie. There's no Michael Myers, and that put a negative bias in my mind the first time I watched it. And because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think, Mike, the first time I watched it was during COVID when you and I watched the entire Halloween franchise, and I hated it because you can't give me Michael Myers, and then take him away. I felt like Kevin Garnett and Uncut Gems. Why the fuck would you show me something if I can't have it? It's like, now I can't have Michael Myers in my Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
And then learning after the fact that, this was Carpenter's original intent. He never wanted a sequel. He wanted each installment to be its own standalone, like an anthology. Like, that doesn't help my mindset, but I understand what he was wanting to. He never wanted to make Halloween 2. And so I can understand why he went this direction. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely got its redeeming qualities. I'll say that.
And not you, but technically, all I hear is this movie does not have Michael Myers in it. That's false. Michael Myers does make a brief appearance on a little TV. You're welcome. Not you. I'm just talking about what I see online. Technically, Michael Myers is in this movie. He's almost in this movie as much as he's in Halloween Ends, so go ahead.
That's a good point, Mike. But here's my thing. I wasn't around in 82, but they had trailers back then, right? Like, what the fuck are you mad for? Oh.
I wasn't born yet either, fuckhead.
I mean, they had trailers back then. Like, they had to know it wasn't about Michael.
Not the same way we see him, though. I don't think.
We're almost overexposed by trailers these days because you open up Twitter, there they are. You go and watch a movie in the theater, and you've got 25 to 30 minutes of trailers. We're almost overexposed to trailers. So,
no, I'm with you. I mean, golly, there had to have been a trailer back then, and I mean, they had to have known it wasn't about Michael, at least a little bit.
According to the 2 Halloween books that I've read that came out a couple years ago, where they went over the whole franchise, and then the second book was all the sequels that never got made. According to them, like, Halloween 3 had no hint that this was not going to be a Myers movie. They put Halloween 3 on the cover. Every moviegoer fully expected to see Michael Myers in the theater, and once that started spreading word of mouth, that's why it bombed. The only reason, which Brian mentioned, that it even has any kind of lore is because of VHS sales at the time.
Well, here's my perspective. If I was a moviegoer in 1982, even if there were trailers and they don't show Michael Myers in any of them, I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying Michael Myers. I sound like I got a speech impediment when I'm saying that. Anyway, even if they advertise it as no Mikey Myers, I'm still like, no, there's no way. They're fucking with us. And so I'm still going into it like I'm expecting to see him. Like, he's going to pop up at the end at least, which I guess they killed him. But still, I'm not thinking there's a third one that's at least not related to him. If it doesn't have Michael, then it's got more of his backstory or more of the aftermath or something. It's how I'm probably going to think of it as I'm going to see this movie in 82.
Hell, Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie too. All right, anyway, let's go.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's jump into the scene by scene. The film starts with title card and opening credits. Northern California, Saturday the 23rd. We see a man running as a groovy techno score plays. We see a car chasing after him. Harry hides out in the junkyard until he bumps into a suited man. He gets him to the ground until he pulls a chain that releases a car that crushes the suited man, and I thought that kill was horrible, and I laughed my ass off. Harry gets free, and we see Walter watching TV in his store. We hear the Silver Shamrock song as the commercial plays. Walter hears noises outside and looks around. Harry jump scares him, grabbing his shirt collar. He falls and passes out saying they're coming. Walter drives him to the hospital as we see more suited men watching. Daniel walks into his ex-wife's home and gives his kids some Halloween masks, but they already have Silver Shamrock masks and they sing the song. Daniel is called from the hospital and has to rush over. Walter tells the doctor what happened, and Harry awakes when he hears a Silver Shamrock song playing in another hospital room. Harry sits up saying they're going to kill all of us. Daniel orders the nurses to get him some drugs. Doctor goes and checks the fridge, then lies on a couch as we see another suited man walk into Harry's room. He covers Harry's mouth and rams his fingers into Harry's eyes. He squirms in bed as he's killed. The man wipes blood off his hands as a nurse asks what's he doing. She screams, waking Daniel up, who chases after the suited man. He watches the man get into a car and cover himself in gasoline, causing the car to explode when he lights himself on fire. Daniel calls Linda, saying he can't pick the kids up as police investigate. He tells her 2 men died here tonight. He'll explain later, and he'll get the kids all night Saturday. Daniel picks up Harry's mask and gives it a good look over. Sunday, the 24th, Ellie arrives to see her deceased father. She panics, and the cops try and comfort her and say they'll have to ask her some questions after she's had time to calm down. Daniel sees Ellie crying at the end of the hall, and she turns around, and he walks off. All right, Brian, that's the opening set of scenes. What'd you think?
All right, I got a lot on this set of scenes, so bear with me. But right off the bat, big props to the score in this movie from Carpenter. Mike brought it up earlier. It's really underappreciated, but it's because of the goddamn London Bridge Halloween jingle that this thing forces down your throat so much that it kind of overshadows the actual score, which is damn good. And yeah, like while that's overshadowed to a big extent throughout, what isn't is the cinematography in this. So I have to shout out Dean Cundy again, who's the real star of the show. We've said his name numerous times on the show, I know, from Halloween 1 and 2 to Jurassic Park. This guy's a fucking legend. If there ever was one, he did the Back to the Future trilogy, Apollo 13. He's won 3 Oscars and already had so many just freaking classics to his name before this movie. It's no surprise the shots in this movie stand out big time. So I'll try to point out some of my favorites throughout. The open with Harry running coupled with the soundtrack is definitely one of them. But I will say negatively, this slow car smashing the robot is Austin Powers Steamroller bad. Like it's terrible. And I think I'm going to spend most of my time here rambling, not necessarily on this group of scenes, but stuff about the movie as a whole, really, because I've got to get it out. I'm always a big fan of anti-heroes like Constantine, things like that. But Dan Chalice is the worst fucking character. And he's the most unlikable person in this movie to me. Like not Cochran, not bad guys. Dan is a piece of shit and I don't like him. And I don't know if it's Tom Atkins being miscast, which I know people are going to probably be screaming at me saying whatever because he's, become such a legend of the business. But it's either that or everyone else around him is miscast. And this was the same issue that I had with The Fog and Atkins in that one. The dude was 47 when he shot this, and he looks at least 60. Nancy Lewis was only 33 here. And so I had the same issue with her playing his ex-wife or whatever that I did with he and Jamie Lee Curtis in The Fog. Like, it's jarring to me. By the way, Nancy Loomis was pregnant here with the director Tommy Lee Wallace's child during filming, which couple that with all the stuff I remember saying about The Fog with Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and Adrienne Barbeau and their love triangle. This is just like a whole nother layer of whatever. Like, they're all swinging on these sets or whatever. Like, I don't know. There's like a whole rabbit hole to go down with this group and Dan O'Bannon and USC Film School. But anyway, that's a whole fucking sidebar. But lastly, anyway, so we get to see alcoholic pawpaw Dr. Dan sexually harass a nurse on the job. And then we give him a 23-year-old Ellie. Like I said, it's jarring and it's just bizarre to me. It's like they wanted to use like buddies and friends and not actually find the people you'd think would work in these roles, but just my opinion. Oh, shout out to Harry's eye poke of doom. His death was pretty cool. I will say that. Go ahead.
God damn, Brian hates some ladies, man. What's going on? No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I understand what you're saying completely. I have some notes on that as well. Love the opening credits. Love the music and the score. I think it's great, creepy, and like you said, very underrated. I love the font. That's why I was so excited when I saw the opening to Halloween Ends. I'm like, oh, that's a cool little subtle nod. I hope we don't get like a direct ripoff of it or Christine or something. And then we did. And I love the digital pumpkin that they use throughout the film to try and hypnotize people. I think it looks really cool. I love that little touch. And again, I like the idea. And then this is the positive thing I said about Halloween Ends is I like the idea of telling a story within the Halloween universe. Okay. Just maybe don't in Halloween Ends include Michael Myers in that, but I love the idea. And so I like that this kind of takes place where Michael Myers is at least on TV as the thing. Like the Halloween movie from 1978 exists in this universe. And I think that's pretty cool. The rolling car kill is fucking hilarious. It looks really, really bad. You mentioned Austin Powers, brother, and Dustin can attest to this. I've seen better car smashes on Monday Night Raw. Like, this looked like shit, buddy. Like, Kevin Dunn does a better job shooting it than these fuckers did. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And again, Halloween Ends also has a junkyard scene. This movie has a junkyard scene. Like, okay, we got rid of all the sequels to just redo the sequels. It's fine. I love the Silver Shamrock jingle. I disagree with Brian and Dustin. It's catchy. I love it, and it will become a staple every October now. You see it, Nico. You see it. But you mentioned the cinematography, the directing too, the ability to capture. You know how I always talk about mood and atmosphere. This movie does a great job of giving me a creepy mood and atmosphere. It feels like a Halloween movie in the sense that like when this movie takes place feels like that time of year. And I think they do a great job. You're kind of capturing a creepy atmosphere. Look, you mentioned Atkins looking old, buddy. The fact that I'm supposed to believe this man has kids this age is fucking bullshit. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. As soon as they ran in, I said, well, what is this? This is ridiculous. That's awful, man. Nancy Loomis coming in to play a character named after her dead friend from Halloween 78. That is fucking epic. Well, I love the hospital shots. You know, you talked about some of the shots, but just some of the shots where they're slow moving, creepy throughout the hallways with the music, I thought looked great. I really thought that we were about to get a cool eye gouge. We did not. That was unfortunate. And here's my man, Dan, and we already see he's divorced once. Now he's hitting on everybody inside this hospital that'll fucking let him, which apparently is everybody. Just crazy shit. I'm not going to say like downright unlikable, but like I didn't quite understand the character I'm supposed to invest in here. Also, you were married to a doctor at one point. Got to understand he's on call quite a bit. You should probably hire a babysitter. Just a thought. Last thing, Ellie, call me sometime. Anyway.
So I really like the opening credits. It's so 80s, and the score is really good here too. Now, like I said earlier, if you're unfamiliar with this movie going in, you assume that it's Michael driving the car that the man is running from, and that makes it so much more of a fart in church to me because it's not. Back to the actual movie, though, there's no way this skinny Pee Wee Herman-looking dork would be able to hold me down and choke me out like that. Pretty ingenious move, though, to move the tire block and squish in between the two cars. So I get what you're saying about it looking bad and how slow motion it was. It's kind of a cool kill, though. The squishing with two cars, I like it. I like it a lot. Then we get that damn song on the TV commercials. Along with it being a Halloween movie without Mike, it's another thing I can't forgive about this movie. It's so damn annoying, gets stuck in your head. It's like the damn Burger King jingle, but instead of Whopper, 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 it's Halloween, Halloween. I hate it. God, I hate it. We love a good brand placement, or at least I do. So shout out to Pennzoil getting the product spot in the window at the gas station. Really like that. And then next we meet Daniel. What a piece of shit he is. But then again, if my kids sang that annoying ass song like that, I'd probably cheat on their mom too. Okay, so I wrote that before I realized that they're divorced. So then I wrote, oh, Daniel's divorced. My statement remains, I'd have to go chasing strange to escape from that life as well. Bizarre that they meet or that they changed the man at the hospital into a gown, but let him hold on to the damn Halloween mask. Definitely didn't seem likely. Kind of weird. Pretty brutal kill though, to, gouge his eyes and crack his skull like that. I like that. That was a good kill. Bro getting in his car and igniting himself. That clip should be shown in schools to show kids the dangers of huffing gas. That's what I took away from it. He was in his car huffing that gas and accidentally lit himself on fire. So don't do it, kids. And that's all I got on this opening set of scenes. Honestly, it's not a bad set of scenes to open. I'm invested.
Also, Dustin, I love the car kill. I just don't think they did a good job shooting it, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
I think it's a really creative and cool idea for a kill for sure.
I thought about the same thing with him holding that mask while he was in the hospital. I was wondering the same thing. I'm glad you said that.
It's weird. Like they took his clothes from him. He's in a hospital gown, but he's still clutching that damn mask.
That's fair. That's true.
Wednesday the 27th, Daniel asked Teddy to check this case out herself. Something isn't sitting right. They share pleasantries and a kiss as he leaves. Friday the 29th, Daniel is at a bar smoking a cigar and having a drink. He asks for a different station as Halloween 1978 is on. The Silver Shamrock commercial plays and it's changed to football. Ellie enters and introduces herself to Dr. Dan and asks about her father and what he said. He stops her and says he saw something that night. Her father was gripping a Halloween mask and said they're going to kill us all. I don't know what's going on. Ellie takes him to her family shop and tells Daniel she did lots of investigating. Ellie says she's not going back to L.A. until she finds out what happened to her father. Daniel calls Linda and says he can't pick up the kids. He and Ellie are going to Santa Mira, where the masks are all made. Ellie questions why they have this factory way out in the middle of nowhere. They make it to Santa Mira, and all the residents stare at them as they drive by. A camera tracks their every movement as they make a game plan. They go to Rafferty's gas station asking for a room to stay. Rafferty shows Ellie around as Daniel looks at the check-in log. Connell Cochran drives by slowly, and Rafferty sings his praises. The Kupfers pull into the parking lot, almost hitting Daniel with a bike that launched off their RV. Little Buddy shoots his parents the bird as he rides off. Marge bitches the factory messed up the order, and she's pissed she has to stay at this motel. Daniel wants to stay and have a drink. He offers to get another room to make her feel more comfortable, but Ellie is aching for a quaking. He walks over and puts the smooches on her. All right, Brian's next set of scenes, what'd you think?
So at the start of the set of scenes, right after we get dipshit Dan kissing another member of the hospital staff, we get the fourth instance of hearing this fucking jingle. And look, it's 21 minutes into this movie. We've gotten it 5 fucking times, I think. It's just too goddamn much.
Yeah.
I too, Dan, would be drinking at 3 p.m. if I had to hear this goddamn thing like you have all day. But anyway.
Crank it. Turn up some.
But before that, we get the infamous Halloween trailer showing us that this is, in a different universe, like we heard earlier from Mike. But I kind of ask why, though. Like, couldn't you have just had a news report talking about the anniversary of the murders in Haddonfield? Like, I would have liked that. Maybe the reception would have been better. I don't know. I mean, look, there's actually a few instances in this movie that you could do that to make it a requel, basically. I'll point them out. You can hate them because I'm script doctoring your movie, and for that, you're welcome. But a fun fact here, but this plaza here where Dan's telling his kids to fuck off so he could try to bang this 23-year-old was also in Halloween 2 when Darcy is trying to actually get Karen to keep her promise of taking her home. I wrote down that I love how these two are suddenly detectives, by the way. Not doctors, but okay. Anyway, Santa Mira, California was also in the OG Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There are some, and especially in the set of scenes, more noticeably great shots of the town laid over some more of that John Carpenter great score as they drive through the town from fucking Children of the Corn, I think. But to me, it's way too long of a montage of them just fucking driving around. But it did have some good shots. The rest of the set of scenes just cracks me up. Like, it's still day outside. Dan says it's getting late and needs a drink. Then immediately makes out and fucks this chick he's known for not even a day. I mean, look, dude knew what he was doing. You got to respect that a little bit, I guess. Anyway.
I was going to say, goddamn, you can hate the player, but don't hate the game, man. That's not his fault. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I have a little bit to say about that. I will say, my man is right here. How often does someone walk into a hospital and kill someone? Listen to a lot of true crime pods, watch a lot of true crime docs. Like, I'm not saying there's not killer nurses and killer doctors, but like, how often does someone walk into a hospital and start killing people? I thought that was finally someone in a horror movie using logic. Like, maybe there's more to this story than you think. Also, Dr. Dan here just kisses and grabs whoever the fuck he wants, man. This man is a fucking menace. He is a menace to society. Love that Halloween 78 is on TV, but like Brian said, I wish it was a news report about the anniversary of the killings so we could keep the two movies linked in the same universe instead of being in technically separate universes, because it wouldn't make any sense now without a retcon. Because in this movie, Halloween is just a movie like it is in our universe. So I don't know how they pull that off, but that's why they get paid the big bucks, and I don't. Look, I already don't love the fact that you can tell Ellie and Dan is leading to more than just doctor and patient's daughter kind of vibes. Like, it's already leading there the first time they interact. And I'm like, I'm a little uncomfortable. Side note, I love that a mall back in the 80s put this place out of business, because now, as someone who works in a mall, everything in that motherfucker is out of business, except for my store, of course. Again, just another shout out to the music. I think the synth score here, as things start to pick up, really, really gets you in like a good 80s watching mood. I think that Carpenter and them did a great job. I do have to question, as much as I like the overall plot, I do have to question why Dr. Dan is all of a sudden a private investigator What interest does he have in investigating this case? That makes no sense, except it actually does make sense because he's trying to get in Ellie's pants. This man is a motherfucking menace. It's unreal. He tries to act like a hero. We know what the deal is, buddy. I did find it kind of funny that there's almost a whole ass Irish speaking community in California. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Last thing I have here, and this is kind of the start of my problem with the movie. Them kissing right here is pretty creepy as fuck. Like, and in the next set of scenes when they finally have the no pants dance, it gets even more uncomfortable because he asks how old she is. Like, this is really stuff that would not fly today. And the uncomfortableness starts right here. It's not enough to bring the movie down for me because I'm more interested in the mask and the Silver Shamrock and all that. But, man, the side plot of them having a love affair, I'm not really a big fan of.
So this is the least amount of notes that I have in the movie. I like the Halloween 78 ad placement on the TV in the bar. It's a nice tip of the cap. I get what you're saying, Brian, and I wouldn't have hated that, but I almost like it more that it's an alternate universe or alternate timeline because, then you don't have to try to answer any questions about what is happening? Is this related? Is this not? So you could just kind of do your own thing, but just acknowledge it and pay homage. I like that. We get okay dialogue here from Daniel and Ellie. It's fine because it sets us up for our story, lets us know where we're going. It's funny that this story takes place in a town that has a motel called the Dublin Inn because when Daniel sees Ellie, his penis is doubling in size. And he ain't slick. Of course he can stay another day. He's trying to grease her cheeks, and she's with it. She's jonesing for a bone, and props to him. But I ain't buying it. Look at her and look at him. Fuck out of here. He's like twice her age. Makes no fucking sense.
See? Exactly.
But this is a slower set of scenes, but it laid some decent groundwork, so I'm still okay with it.
Laid the same kind of groundwork as Dr. Dan was. Anyway.
A message is sent across town, and we see all the shops closed. Cameras monitor for movement as we see Daniel heading back to their room. A man appears from the shadows, scaring him, asking for a drink. Daniel asks him about Cochran. He says he built this town, but he hired all outsiders, no locals. He tells him to watch out, and the cameras are watching him. He says he's going to burn the factory down with a bunch of Molotov cocktails. The homeless man is surrounded by suited men and is killed by having his head ripped off by Mr. Dick Warlock. Ellie is scared by Marge, who honks her horn by accident. That was for no reason. Marge bitches about picking up these masks in person and shouts her store location out. She knocks the Silver Shamrock button onto the carpet as we cut to Ellie getting out of the shower and wrapping herself in a blanket. Daniel calls Teddy and asks if she's figured anything out. She hasn't figured anything out, and he tells her that he's in Santa Mira. He gets back to the room, and Ellie seduces him in her lingerie, and they get intimate. They're in bed that night as a Silver Shamrock song plays over the radio. She gets on top of him, and he asks if she's tired at all and asks her age. She kisses him, and they get back after it. Marge notices the Silver Shamrock button and picks it up. She scrapes on the chip with her hairpin, and it zaps her in the face with a blue beam. She's trembling as we see her face mutilated. Bugs begin crawling out of her mouth. Several cars pull up, and Daniel sees Cochran's men loading Marge's body into an ambulance. Cochran arrives and comforts Daniel and Ellie, saying she's getting emergency treatment at the factory. Marge had a misfire that hurt her. Back in the room, Daniel asks Ellie if she wants to leave. She does, but she must find out what happened at the factory. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What do you think?
So I don't know if it's well known or not, other than on this pod. Mike and Dustin mentioned it earlier, but I definitely never recognized Jamie Lee Curtis as the voice of the message being broadcast across the town telling everyone to stay indoors. Now, can't unhear it. But hey, here's another script doctor. You had Jamie Lee Curtis. Let's somehow connect this. Have a news interview done of her, like with some new footage a year later after the Haddonfield massacre or something. I don't know. Sounds good to me. Anyway, the atmosphere kicks into gear here. Again, Carpenter has always known how to do atmosphere correctly. And with Tommy Wallace basically heralded as his protege, I mean, you can definitely see where this would go right in with the first two Halloween films as far as that goes, if you wanted to do that. Great kill on Jonathan Terry Starker by, like Nico mentioned, Dick Warlock, who played Myers in Halloween 2. Terry actually played the Colonel in 1988's Return to the Living Dead 2, by the way. But big shout out to Tom Berman and the whole team of special effects artists. I thought they looked fantastic all the way throughout. Speaking of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Berman did the makeup on the 1978 version. And 1968 Planet of the Apes. Fucking legend. But we also get their neighbor Marge in the set of scenes. Real life wife of Tom Atkins at the time. Passed away just 8 months ago at the time of us recording this, RIP. She was almost 40 at the time of shooting this. Not 23. And speaking of fucking 23, Ellie gets railed in the room right next door in a really weird, bizarre sex scene. Like Mike mentioned earlier, like everything about it was weird. The music, the lighting, them staying on Dan, sucking on her nipple for like what felt like an eternity, and then having them wake up and, go again while he asks her after sex, mind you, how old she is.
They shot the nipple sucking like it was a porn, man.
Like, I was like, what is going on right here?
What the fuck?
So that's what I want to ask you about. How do you think that Marge Gutman, I don't remember what her last name was, but that's his real life wife. She's on set during this happening. You can fake a sex scene. Like, sex scenes happen in movies all the time. But sucking a titty? Like, how do you think she felt? Her husband was real deal sucking a titty.
That was in his mouth. Anyway, yeah, the entire thing was just super uncomfortable. But, man, the effects on Marge after she got hit with that beam of light or whatever the fuck it was, that looked fantastic. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, okay, first of all, a curfew? Fuck out my face. Playing in my face. I'll stay up as late as I fucking want to. I do like the fact that, like you mentioned, starting out Jamie Lee Curtis there. This 1980 security camera cracked me the fuck up. It's about the same quality of my internet. That's not a good thing. So I'm sure, if you guys lose me in this show, I'm just going to back out, by the way. I'm not going to try to hop back in because, again, the security camera just reminded me. This community is basically ran like North Korea, man. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I don't think we have any listeners in North Korea. Shout out to you guys if we do, but you guys are ran like this little community here by Silver Shamrock. I'm not going to lie. When this man got on his knees in front of them, this homeless guy, I was expecting something way more sinister, okay? I'm not going to lie. The way it was shot, the way it was presented made me think that we're going to have a pause moment in this review. But fret not. He just had his head pulled clean off, which I thought it was a really fucking cool kill. I thought it looked great. Finally, some effects that kind of hold up here. I think it looks really good. Shout out to the glass Coke bottle. That's a throwback there. I'm not that old. I'm not as old as Brian, that's for sure. I've never actually drunk out of a glass Coke bottle. So there you go. I'm sure Brian has.
They still sell them.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't drink out of those. I don't have glass Coke bottle money, pal.
They taste better.
Oh, I'm sure they do. So does Mexican Coke, but that's a different story.
Which also comes in a glass bottle.
I've only had it in a cup, asshole. Mexican restaurant. What's up? Anyway, back to, not to like completely just steal Brian's flow word for word, bar for bar, but this fucking sex scene is so creepy, man. It is so unnerving. Like, there's something about it that makes me I felt very uncomfortable. I wanted to turn the movie off. And look, both are adults, so what the fuck do I care? But it looks like, I just don't like it, man. There's a big age gap here. Super fucking creepy. And I think it's unnecessary to the plot of the film. Like, I do think you can have this exact same movie, not have them hook up and have sex, and you get the exact same result, except we may not get as funny of a show. That's about the only thing that this is providing us as decent material. I just don't think it adds anything. And, he's trying to pretend he wants to find out what happened to her dad when he's just over there face and mouth full of titty, man. That's not going to get the job done. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, get one job done.
And Ellie says, don't worry, I'm older than I look. No, you're not. You look no, you're not. You look every bit of the age that you're supposed to be here. That is,
but
anyway.
and they had that conversation after they already had sex.
Yeah, after he already hit them cheeks. Anyway, I couldn't tell if it was playing in this woman's room or it was on the movie. Sorry, that's my fault. And by the way, I watched this on the Up and Up. I have the Blu-ray, so nobody yell at me here, okay? But I have the Blu-ray. I watched it on there. But was this woman laying in bed reading, listening to classical music? Come on, man. That's distracting as fuck. Who the fuck reads a book while listening to music? I can't do that. If you do that, shout out to you. You have a better brain than I do. I will say, We have to see Tom Atkins' ass. Pause, because man ass is always funny. You guys know the rules. I don't make them. To the untrained eye, this man running off with Ellie makes him look like a teacher that's run off with their student. Like, I can't unsee it. It's so weird. It's so creepy. I will say, small thing about the actual fucking plot of the movie, since I've spent 10 minutes talking about these two being creepy. I like that they're leaving a little bit unknown with what's going on in the factory. Like, I do think they kind of slow play and draw that out pretty damn well. So I'm still interested in the film, and we're about to pretty much move on for the most part from their creepy relationship, and I'm thankful for it.
So you mentioned curfew, get out of here. How about curfew at 6 p.m.?
Oh, that's
Fuck
why,
that.
man. Well, you're playing in my face, man. Get the fuck
Like,
out.
You know, curfew at midnight during the week, you know, whatever. Gainesville, a lot of college towns shut down. You know, everything closes at 2 a.m. But 6 p.m., fuck this town. No job pays well enough for me to endure that. I'm not living there. Saw that bottle. It looked kind of heavy. Definitely using that line at the next tailgate I attend. That's a hell of a way to get you a drink. Saw that bottle. Looks kind of heavy. I like that. More of these suited fucks killed the town drunk. I haven't seen suited up assholes this bad since The Matrix. And he pulled his head clean off. The effects look pretty bad, though. At least they barely showed it. But that head didn't look good. Pause. Marge Gutman, too convenient of a character to me. Nothing about her interaction with Ellie seemed natural at all. It was just like, hey, we just bumped into each other. Let me spill some stuff, like volunteer some stuff for convenience sake. Not a fan of that. And then what kind of psychopath gets out of the shower and instead of drying off, goes straight to the bed and curls up in a blanket off the bed? Unless she's planning on staying wet, which she clearly did. But this scene is just outrageous. They've barely talked and don't know each other at all and haven't been drinking, and now he's just sucking on her titty? Like, that's a level of game I've never witnessed before. But the most alarming part of the movie, the entire movie, the most alarming part, like Brian said, after he has her tit in his mouth, he then asks how old she is. You know, they just released a list. I think his name might be on it. Daniel's name might be on that. He might have frequented an island. I don't know. Then, the fuck is in that microchip? Dr. Evil Sharks didn't even have that kind of lasers. Damn thing shot a spider into her mouth and fried her face. That was wild. Pretty crazy set of scenes. I'm not hating the movie. I kind of liked it.
That's two Austin Powers references, and I have an Epstein Island reference later on.
Oh, look at us. Who would have thought?
Oh, God. All right.
Someone say we're in this together, Brian.
We're in this together. Drop the pic in the description. Let's go.
We are starting this year off with a bang. Saturday the 30th.
So
Daniel
did
calls
Daniel.
Yeah, he did.
Dr. Dan started it off with a bang anyway.
All right, Saturday the 30th. Daniel calls Teddy again, and she thinks the evidence has been tampered with. No indication of a body, only ashes and car parts. He asks her to research on Connell Cochran. She tells him she expects more dinners when he gets back. A suited man watches Daniel and Ellie enter the factory. A receptionist shows Ellie where her father picked the order up, and she asks a factory worker about helping her dad load up the order. The Kupfer family arrives, and the receptionist goes to tell Cochran. Cochran says Buddy has sold more masks than anyone in the country. Cochran apologizes for the disturbance last night, and Marge was flown to a hospital in San Francisco. He comps them their order for free, and Buddy asks if Daniel and Ellie want to join on the factory tour. Little Buddy wants a mask, and Cochran gives him a pumpkin mask that's gone through final processing. And Buddy asks about that, but Cochran says it's just quality inspection, the usual. Buddy wants to take a look, but Cochran says dangerous chemicals are involved and doesn't want to risk harming anyone. Daniel tells Ellie we need to leave and says the men look like the man who killed her father. Ellie sees her father's car in a bay and runs to it, but she's blocked off by several men. She backs away and they leave. Ellie says they need to leave. He tells her to pack and he's going to go call the police. He goes to the motel lobby and the operator says they can't complete the call as a Silver Shamrock theme plays. He goes back to the room and notices Ellie is gone. He looks out the room and sees the suited men. He escapes out the bathroom window and runs off, hiding from passing cars. He can't get through the operator and takes off running. He makes it inside the factory and hides from a camera in the nick of time. He opens the door to see a woman knitting. He walks to her and her head falls off. The woman is a robot. A man grabs him from behind and they begin to fight. His punches do nothing and he's slammed on some boxes. Daniel gets the upper hand and punches him in the gut, killing him with orange ooze coming out of his mouth. He's seized by Cochran and his other men. He says the woman is unique, and Daniel asks where Ellie is. He wipes the orange ooze off of his hand as Cochran says Halloween will be very, very busy for him, and they take Daniel away. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What'd you think?
Well, I think all of our pets' heads are falling off here. But anyway, can I say that I don't see the need for title cards like telling us what day it is every fucking day? Like, I think that was overkill to me. And Dan, once again, calling back to his home CSI office to have Detective Teddy do some more investigations was, well, like I said earlier, fucking dumb. And it's not helped by this next scene where Stacey Nelkin and the others all have discussions about her lost order. And look, the acting is just cringy. And, you know, I didn't mention it last set of scenes, but this Kupfer family, God almighty. It's like watching a carbon copy of some of the ones from Willy Wonka, except like we actually get some retribution against these morons in this one, which I don't know if we're supposed to feel sorry for them, but I don't think anyone did as far as, I mean, I didn't. I don't think anyone did, right? But also shout out to Dana Hurley and you know, as Cochran. And I can't tell here if it's if he's a good actor or not, you know, because he's up against, well, what we get the rest of this movie. But I will say the dude is amazing and steals every scene that he's in this. But if you've seen RoboCop and RoboCop 2, it's just him. He's a great actor. Rest in peace to him, who passed away back in 2005. I'm going to just say this, since they're, you know, cruising the factory, another script doctor. What if one of these masks was the Myers mask? Insinuating that Silver Shamrock had something to do with that without saying it? I don't know. I think it would have been a nice little tie-in. You know, had you kept it in the same universe. Like
Also part of the original script of Halloween 4. You're welcome. One of the original run scripts was had that idea in place at least.
I did not know that. Nice. Okay, so honestly, it's the halfway point in this movie. I think I'm pretty bored if I'm keeping it 100 here. Like, it's like a bad episode of like mystery TV during the day when you're homesick. It's just fuck. And yeah, it gets better with the night scenes, but like I said, this movie's dragging to me, and I feel like we have a long way to go still.
Man, I appreciated the runtime. Hour 38, we got that lickety split. I like how fast it went, but I understand what you're saying because some of the scenes in the daytime do drag. This man, I know we're harping on him. I'm going to try to stop now, but this man, Daniel, is the dumbest flirt ever. He's off with Ellie. He's already hit it, and now he's trying to have dinner with his nurse investigator buddy when he comes back. Like, what the fuck, man? This man is a fucking crazy person. He has to be stopped. He should have been stopped in the end. Anyway, I will say, just me, and it may just be me, but no one living in this community is questioning at all why we're selling all these fucking kids masks. Like, that's a little oddly specific thing that we're trying to do to make a lot of money off of. Just, I don't know, I might want to peek around a little bit and figure it out. Just a thought. But I guess they're trying to make a statement on, or this is what I read in the same book. There's a little bit of a statement being made on totalitarian governments. So take that for what you will. I don't know if Carpenter and Deborah Hill and everyone else had a part in the script were actually doing that, but that's what was in the damn book. However, I fucking love these three masks. I think they look great. I want to see them on the big screen again. Maybe something a little scarier, a little less 80s cheese, if you will. Like, I know we saw them in Halloween Kills, but they made slight cameos. I really want them to be a focal point for a horror movie again. I think it would be really, really cool because I think they look great for what they're trying to do. And again, I like the initial plot of what Cochran and them are trying to do. I will say, once they said how rich this man was, if all I had to do was sell these masks to get Nico Chin levels of rich, I would be very, very happy. That would be an easy way to get on his level. So I should probably look into that. I loved the shot of all the clone robot guys. I thought it was really cool to see them all together. I really liked that. I thought it was a neat shot. This ooze looked nasty as fuck. Kind of looked like the mucus I've been coughing up for about 2.5 weeks now. Just really fucking disgusting. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. I'm trying to get rid of it. But I did enjoy the kill. Like, I liked the fact that it actually showed something on screen instead of just a full-on cutaway. So that's all I had.
So when Daniel, calls back and talks to Teddy on the phone, I missed, I think the first time I watched this on the rewatch that, I guess he kissed her earlier, I think. But this man's slinging wood all over the state. First his ex-wife, then Ellie, and then now he's flirting with Teddy on the phone. He's got every woman at the hospital under his wing. Like, what is this man packing? That's what certain people would want to know. I don't really care, but it's got to be something under the hood.
Right. Certain people.
Mr. Kupfer, such a douchebag. First, he almost runs Daniel over and then shakes his hand like he's a long-lost friend here at the factory. And then he's the world's biggest corporate kiss ass. I hate him. Like you said, Brian, I did not feel sympathetic towards him at all. Pretty cool getting to see the masks be made. I'm always fascinated by stuff like that. Like my TikTok algorithm is either only fangirls or factory videos, stuff being made. So that was fascinating to me. The score here can go. All that high-pitched bell sound got annoying fast, like almost as annoying as the Silver Shamrock commercial song. The creepy-ass animatronic knitter was unnecessary. She clearly didn't look real, but it was supposed to be like a huge scare moment or oh shit moment when he shook her and her head came off. That was a miss to me. Also, if Daniel thought that it was a real woman, he wouldn't have shaken her that hard. Like, Jesus, man, he's trying to give her shaken baby syndrome when this woman's 94 years old. I laughed when Daniel gave old buddy his best right hook and the guy was unfazed and Daniel just goes, oh, Jesus. Like, that was funny to me. I laughed out loud. Turns out he was a robot, though, but I'm not sure why the robot was filled with Tropicana, but okay. Not a bad set of scenes. I'm still on board, honestly.
Sunday the 31st, Halloween. We see Daniel being escorted through the factory. Cochran says the internal features were easy. Exterior, not so much. Cochran shows him the ancient technology room. Stonehenge, he says. He had a hard time getting the rock here. He asks where the girl is, and he shows her on the camera. Marge was a victim of a misfire. The Kupfers are escorted to test room A and locked in. Little Buddy has to pee instantly as Betty says she feels uncomfortable. Buddy says it's weird they won't take his orders. Cochran has him turn the commercial on. Little Buddy puts the mask on and watches the magic mark on TV. Buddy collapses over and seizes. The parents see bugs and snakes coming out of the mask. Betty passes out and Buddy is bit by a rattlesnake. Daniel has weird facial reactions as the Kupfer family dies. We see kids grabbing silver shamrocks all over the good old USA and trick-or-treating. Teddy is on the phone doing some investigating until she gets the same operator message Daniel got. A suited man enters the room and grabs a drill. She has an epiphany and tries to call the sheriff, but she's grabbed and pinned to the ground and killed with a drill to her skull off screen. Daniel is bound in a room and tells him his plan. Each chip has a piece of Stonehenge in them. When they watch the big giveaway, the chip activates, killing them with brain damage that releases bugs and snakes that kills others nearby. He puts the mask on Daniel's head and turns on Halloween and leaves the room. The next set of scenes of the ending, what'd you think, Brian?
Well, we open up on this set of scenes with the evil monologue trope, where we get the plan explained to us in some super lazy writing, in my opinion. But, by the way, what the fuck is Cochran's problem? Sacrificing kids? Is this motherfucker on the Epstein's flight log? Jeesh. See, there we go, Epstein.
By the way, we're not saying yeah to Epstein's flight log. I was saying yeah, celebrating the fact that Brian and I both made that joke. I want to clarify. This podcast does not condone anyone that visited that island.
Correct. And what movie was it where I said that they were in the Man Fuck Them Kids Hall of Fame recently? I don't remember, but this dude is a unanimous inductee without question into the Hall of Fame there. And yeah, the evil Stonehenge rocks. Man, look, I just can't get with this shit. Like, if they were somehow, script doctor, if they were somehow just transmitting a frequency to the mass that, like, messes with the brain waves or some shit, but this Stonehenge rock bullshit, magic shit, it's just fucking ridiculous, and I hate it. Now, the effects of, or the effects on little Kupfer and the Kupfer parents, that made me sound like I was saying fuckers from Meet the Ferrets. But I don't understand the whole bug thing. Like, just besides them trying to do something that was gross and disturbing to some people and show it on screen, I don't, it doesn't make any damn sense. And you're trying to explain shit in this movie, but not explain it so it makes any damn sense. I'm just throwing my hands up. Like, why not have the signal, not from the goddamn rock, make it a radio signal of some sort, turn the kids into killers and like kill themselves and people around them. Like, I don't understand the bugs, and I think it's dumb as hell. Now, as dumb as this movie is, in my opinion, the best part of this entire film are some of these shots right here in this set of scenes, like the cuts from showing state to state all over the country, kids wearing a mask, but especially the one of Los Angeles at dusk is absolutely beautiful shot. That's all I'm going to say about the set of scenes, though, because, we get that drill kill on fucking what's her name, Teddy, and it's off screen, super disappointing. Like, that's some typical Carpenter, though, but I thought we'd get better since we're getting some good effects throughout, but guess not. Go ahead.
As soon as he says Stonehenge and you see the rocks, I wanted to take a hit and go, hey, man, how the fuck did they get Stonehenge in there? Like, that's really like Tommy Chong, that shit. Anyway, I actually really like the character of Cochran. I think he makes a great bad guy, great villain, even though technically I think Brian's right. I think Daniel's the real villain here. But if you're excluding him, I think Cochran makes a great antagonist. And I think another walkthrough of this factory this time, shot with the music going slow, is really, really effective. And the reveal of everything coming together that's about to happen too. Again, just think they slow played it really effectively for me as a viewer. I was bought in the whole time, and I thought it was really interesting how they pulled it off. I think having the family in this room is brilliant, and then the fucking pumpkin face melting scene, I'm a big fan of. I thought it looks really cool. It's also a really cool GIF, however you say it. I think it's fun. Okay. I agree with Brian. One big thing, and I have it in all caps right here. What's the fucking deal with these bugs? It's never explained to my knowledge. And if it is, I completely fucking missed it. Then there's a snake. Fuck snakes. Fuck snakes. You heard what I said. Snakes aren't pet. They're not your friends. They're fucking snakes. I hate snakes. Anyway, I love learning about snakes because I'm educational. But I fucking hate snakes overall. Love the shot of the kids across America in different places putting on the Silver Shamrock mask. Looks really cool. The music is great. I think they did a great job kind of setting the tone for what's about or what they want to happen. I think it was really just creepy, scary, effective. I think, again, some really good stuff in this movie, just layered in with some of the 80s cheese, as we like to say. I hate so fucking much that we cut away from this drill kill. Damn it, John Carpenter or whoever. Like, show the fucking kill. That would have been awesome. A really cool kill. I like that we get a little bit of the history of Halloween and the festival of Samhain and all that stuff. I think that alone would make for its own interesting horror film, in my opinion. I think there needs to be a better movie about Halloween's origins. I think someone could write it at least. And last time, shout out to the GOAT movie, Halloween 1978.
So I got a decent chuckle out of the robot sneezing in the elevator. Like, so random. I don't know why they put that in this movie. It was so dumb that it made me laugh.
Yes.
Also, I got a good laugh at the evil layer here. Like, these motherfuckers just went to Home Depot and got garage shelving to house their computers. They spared no expense on technology, but got the jankiest shelves possible to set them on. That was funny to me. And then the hell is in these microchips, man? Again, I say it. Bugs, rattlesnakes, and it melted the kid's head and killed him. The fuck? I'm kind of lost on the logic there. Like, I get it. Okay, it's part of Stonehenge, but it still doesn't make sense. Not a fan of that. So the big giveaway that they're advertising is at 9 o'clock, and they show cities all across the country. Is it 9 local time everywhere or 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific? The people need to know. That's poor advertising, poor marketing. The dumbest death of the movie goes to the woman at the coroner's office because that drill didn't even have a battery on it. Now, I've used a lot of power drills in my life, but I've never used one this old, so maybe it did have a battery, and that's what they looked like back then. But for the life of me, it looked like the bottom of that drill when you picked it up, it looked like that's where you put the battery in. It looked like it was open for a battery to go in it, and then you just starts using it. How? It was a cool concept of a kill, drill through the skull, but like Mike said, we didn't, or like you guys said, we didn't see it. They didn't show it to us, so I don't like that kill at all. It's dumb as well. I do like the reasoning of why Cochran is doing this as part of a ritual to restore the feeling. That's a good motive. I like that. That's cool. And, okay, I like the Halloween 78 ad being on the TV earlier in the bar, but them playing the movie here just feels like they're playing in our faces. We want Michael Myers, and they're taunting us by having the movie playing in a movie that's just a cash grab off the back of Mike. Not cool, man. Not cool. But still, overall, not a bad set of scenes.
All right, guys, here's the ending. Cochran watches Daniel on camera for a bit and walks away. Daniel hobbles over to the TV and kicks it, shattering the screen. He uses the glass to get free and remove the mask. And I thought this was ridiculous, but he Peyton Mannings it onto the camera, blocking the feed. Daniel climbs into the vent, and a scientist tells Cochran about the camera malfunction. They discover Daniel is missing. He makes it to a room full of boxes of masks. He hides from the suited men, and he calls Linda. He tries to warn her of the mask, but she's too infuriated to listen and thinks his story is crazy, and she hangs up on him. He makes it to Ellie's room and gets her free. He's discovered on the monitors, and men go after him. They hide and creep around until Daniel finds some of the chips in a box. He tells Ellie to wait, and he somehow sneaks to the control panel unseen and starts hitting buttons. He turns a Silver Shamrock commercial on, and he runs upstairs. He dumps the box of chips where all the scientists are, and they're all zapped and killed. Cochran looks defeated as he claps at Daniel. A big beam of blue energy zaps him from the Stonehenge rock, and it explodes, sending fire all over. The building explodes as Daniel and Ellie make it out and drive away. He turns the radio on, and the Silver Shamrock song plays. He turns the radio off, and Ellie grabs his face, attacking him. He drives off-road and crashes into a tree. He falls out unscathed, and he beats Ellie with a tire iron, knocking her head off. He sits in the car, and we see her head is still alive. The arm still in the car grabs a hold of his neck, but he gets free, tossing the arm. He takes off on foot as her headless body attacks him, but dies off. Daniel makes it to Walter's gas station, asking for the phone. It's life and death. The Silver Shamrock commercial plays as he calls the network, begging for it to be taken off the air, begging for them to believe him. The commercial begins to stop, but is still running on other channels. He begs and pleads, screaming for them to stop as the film ends. All right, Brian, what do you think about the ending?
Look, I like the very, very end. And as you guys probably have in your fun facts, I mean, this was supposed to end with hearing the kids screaming over the credits, and that would have been, to me, much better. But all of this third act, the whole thing it took to get there just sucks. Like, whatever happened to Ellie? By the way, if this Austin Powers Fembot Ellie is a robot, that's 3 Austin Powers references. But we don't, I mean, is she a robot the whole time? Like, but we don't know what happened to her if she wasn't, and she was swapped out for this Fembot. You know, and at the end, it was like the movie that would never fucking end, with the arm and the fingers, everything down to her ass hair, tried to kill Dan at the end and kept coming back to life to do it. It's fucking ridiculous. Then what? Does CIA agent Dan have the number to every major television studio that he can just call them? Like, why even have that? Just have him fail. Like, it just didn't work, which I'm gathering is what happened. But then, like, you know, what was the point of the factory burning down from the electrodes or whatever and the weird Stonehenge thing? Was it to make the microchips and the rest didn't matter? Because I thought it was what was sending out the broadcast. Like, I don't know. Maybe I got lost. Maybe I'm stupid as hell and don't get it. But to me, that was just unnecessary. Like, what was the point of the factory burning down if it was going to get out there and get out anyway? Besides, I guess, maybe him to escape to do what? Call the television studios? I don't know. I think the ending and not much of the movie is very good.
For the first time in the whole film, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Daniel actually does, some smart horror movie character stuff in the 80s. That's probably the most unrealistic thing in this whole movie. Look, here's another example where a horror movie or a character in a horror movie doesn't believe someone when there's trouble afoot. Like, man, this man seems like a fucking menace. With the tone of his voice and the way he's talking, Linda, you got to just believe this man on face value, because he is frantic in this phone call. We finally get, quote-unquote, Ellie here, although we never, like Brian mentioned, really see what happened to actual Ellie. But, okay, that's interesting.
Okay, you brought up a good point and brings me to another question. Like, was Ellie a robot the entire time? And in which case, did Tom Atkins fuck a robot?
Well, he would have noticed, right? Like, when he punched through the sternum, he immediately felt that it was a robot.
With orange juice? I don't know.
With orange juice. So he was inside her earlier, right? He would have known.
Okay, so they definitely swapped her out.
Context, that is a wild statement.
Ooh, side, just sparked another question. If she was a robot the whole time, maybe that's why he sucked her boobies so long. Maybe it was an orange juice dispenser. I'm down for that. I love orange juice.
It's the show right there. We're not going to top that one. We're not topping that. I can't beat that. Wrap that shit up.
Hey, she
He can get vitamin C when he gives her the vitamin D.
Hey, hopefully he didn't fill her full of pulp.
GNC. I don't want to talk about work here. Come on. Anyway, okay. Again, not a whole lot is happening here, but they do a decent job keeping my attention with the music and the suspense. I think they do a good job with some of the shots. It was able to suck me in, pause, and made me want to see what happens here at the very end. I love how the factory equipment looks super outdated now. Just looks very 80s, over the top with all the green, yellow, and red lights, like just very 80s movie kind of equipment. And I thought it made it pretty fun. I love this kill of dumping the chips on everyone. Actually, I found it super creative. Thought it was a good way to get rid of a whole bunch of people at once. But this is a long story. I'll talk about this, but I too have hit a tree dead on. I don't really want to talk about it. Just know I've been there in my life. It happens. But so was Ellie? You mentioned Ellie. We've already had that discussion, so I'm just going to X that out of my notes because I don't know the answer to that question. Was she a robot? How long was she a robot? Where did she go? But listen, if Ellie was and under that spell, I would just have to let her take me here. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. If she wanted to be the one to kill me, and that's the last thing I ever did, I could end things a lot worse than that. All good things must come to an end. Last thing, I love the tension here the kill with Ellie and stuff is fine. And then we get Dan again by himself. But I love the suspense of him making this phone call to whoever's running the TV stations and really frantic, trying to get them to turn this commercial off. And the third one didn't. So we don't get a movie that ends on a completely happy note. And I thought, and still do, I still think you'd have to retcon some of the stuff in this film, but there's a sequel here for sure, or requel, if you want it to be.
Okay. Daniel had the most perfect toss of a mask possible to throw it on the camera. Fuck off, man. Get real. You mentioned it, Nico. What? No. Get out of here. Then he goes all John McClane and crawls through the air ducts. I can't lie. I've always wanted to do that. I know Brian appreciated that reference. But
I
I've
thought of
always
that
wanted,
too, man. I really did. I'm glad you said
didn't
it.
you? That's the first thing I thought of. But I've always wanted to do that. It looks fun. I don't know. And I'm not claustrophobic, so. Crying, real tears that they hid behind a rolling shelf to sneak past and it actually worked. Okay, man. I guess robots don't come equipped with peripheral vision, but that was a Scooby-Doo ass thing if I've ever seen one. Then, the worst part of the movie. After he went over to the video controls and just started pushing random buttons and completely undetected, they didn't see him at all. He makes it rain microchips and they start assassinating all the robots with just god-awful special effects. But we're not done yet. Then this glowing ring forms and lights up the shrine that they've built, or I guess that was part of Stonehenge, whatever it was. And we see his face illuminate in it and it ignites the plant. What the hell's going on? Why did all that happen? And if that happened, why didn't that disrupt their plan? To me, that's good logic. When he blew up the plant, it stops and he doesn't have to worry about calling the radio station or the TV stations. Whatever. Then Ellie turns bad. What gives? They turned her into a robot. Houseway. She was fine up to that point. I don't believe that she was a robot the whole time because the other robots didn't show any kind of emotion. They didn't show anything. They were straight faced the whole time. They didn't have conversations, and she did all of that. Even up until the point they escaped the factory there, she was fine. So when the fuck did that happen? Don't like that.
Yeah, and they've got they've made an android in 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
that looked exactly like her if she wasn't.
Right.
So what the fuck?
And so to me, if that's the case, that's how they wanted to play this. Then when he went and saved her from that room and got her up off the table, she was a robot then, and she wouldn't have helped him blow up the factory and do all that stuff and hid behind the rolling rack. I can't get over that. The final act here, though, is just too far out there for me, and it's too drawn out. It loses me completely. And, of course, we get one final jump scare when the headless Ellie clone tries to kill him again, but just collapses without doing anything. So it's not even like he was in danger that time. It just came to life and then fell and kind of grabbed his pant leg. Did nothing for me. Hated that. And then, like you said, Brian, is Daniel on phone with the national TV executives? Like he's acting like one phone call will get the commercial off air in every market across America. I do like the cliffhanger ending though, like us not knowing whether the masks were activated or not, and I kind of like that alternate ending or the way they originally planned it to where you hear the children screaming, but I kind of like it more not because we don't know. Did it work? Did the kids die? Did everyone die? I don't know. So I kind of like that. But this is the worst set of scenes in the whole movie to me. And up until this point, I actually was enjoying it.
See, you hate this movie.
What flabbergasted me the most was he's yelling to like stop the commercial. But there's 3 kids right beside him, like in the commercial.
Yeah.
Like, tell them kids to take the damn mask off.
Tell them to take the mask off, or maybe take cover and see if they're activated right there. They didn't appear to be, because when we saw little dipshit in the test room with his family, like that mask was activated almost instantly when it was time, and he's yelling on the phone for several seconds after it was activated or whatever. So to me, it's like, okay, it didn't happen. So yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, little buddy though, he was like watching the mark or whatever. Maybe like he was like locked into the TV and all that. But I'm still telling them kids take them damn mask off just in case. Anywho, we got a lot of social media comments and questions, so let's get it, dude. Let's do Facebook first. Cole McAlexander commented, "This movie takes the all-time achievement award for F them kids, and Android thugs are a huge bonus." Hell yeah, brother. Ramon Rodriguez commented, "I love this movie. It is total 80s fun. I feel it is unfairly judged because of the name. The funny thing is, it is the most anti-Halloween, the holiday, not the movie I can think of. The plan is to sacrifice all children who dress up and celebrate Halloween trick-or-treating. It's quite bleak." That's a fair point.
He's got a good
Kevin.
point, though, about the unfairly judged, because that's what I did for years. I unfairly judged this movie. So, good point.
Yeah, same. Kevin Potoff commented, "Only the best Halloween movie ever, # Silver Shamrock. Just watch the movie, don't try to make sense of it. And that fuck that fat kid, he got his comeuppance." Shan commented, "We got some cool stuff in our house from the film. Go to our post and check it out. She does have some cool stuff." Cole McAlexander commented again, he has a question. "My question, fellas, is a simple one. How come when Daniel threw the death tags from the catwalk, how come he didn't get blue beamed?" And he says, "I know it's the 80s in a movie, but come on, man." I thought that was a pretty good question.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I think that's fair, yeah.
Hey, Carpenter got lazy at some parts. Hey, it'd be like that. Michelle Mercer commented, "I didn't appreciate this one until I was older. Now I think it's a lot of fun." And continuing the theme, definitely should get that Fuck Them Kids award.
Yep.
This is the ultimate Fuck Them Kids movie, man. This is some shit.
Yeah. Let's jump over to IG now. Danny C-Naps commented, "I have such a hard time associating this movie with the Halloween franchise. It's a good horror flick and has a cool soundtrack, but it's never been a, in parentheses, Halloween movie to me. Halloween needs Michael." I feel like that's a common thought.
I feel like that's totally fair. I don't even hardly see it as in the franchise. I really don't. It just happens to be in the Blu-ray collection that I have.
Big money. Mike, Optional 13th Ghost commented, "Probably a hot take, but this film is definitely top 3 for me in the train wreck that is the Halloween franchise, right behind 78 and 2018. I'm glad it's finally getting its flowers."
I'll agree with that. It is a train wreck of a franchise. That's the part I agree about.
I don't completely disagree with that. It's not my favorite franchise for a reason.
It's got some...
5 can go fuck itself. Sorry.
That's your favorite one, Mike.
No, it's fuck you. Scream's my favorite franchise.
No, that's your favorite of the Halloween movies, Halloween 5.
I will drive to Maryville and shun your porch right now, pal. Don't you ever say that shit again.
Real Matt Sears commented, "I joke about this movie a lot, but honestly, it just feels like a low-rent thriller. One of those old-school horror flicks you might rent on a Friday night from your local mom-and-pop video store back in the day. I think it gets so much hate because of the Halloween label, so I defend it. But I think if you removed Halloween 3 from the title and people didn't take it so seriously, they might enjoy it for the 80s popcorn horror film that it is. It will always be a part of the rotation for me." I kind of agree with you, honestly.
Low Rent Thriller was my nickname in college.
Ayo. Ayo. All right. I agree. I would probably I may start adding it back into my Halloween yearly rotation. That sounds pretty fun.
And Alex1 commented back to Matt saying, "Sadly, I don't think it's common knowledge that John Carpenter's original vision for the Halloween movies isn't what we got." That's a very good point, my friend. Woodsboro Library commented, "Never liked this one as a kid growing up. Like everyone else, I was wanting to see Michael Myers. Now as an adult, This is in my top 3 favorites of the Halloween franchise. Hashtag Silver Shamrock. Damn. Hell yeah, brother.
Woodsboro Library. That's a great fucking username.
That's a great name. Yeah, it is. Silver Shamrock. Sorry.
He saw optional 13 ghosts. Like, all right, I'm about to clap back. Alex1 commented, I can't explain exactly why, but I freaking love every minute of this dang movie. That's all. Thanks for picking it, Randy. Hey, go dogs, brother. Making X2 commented, I never liked the scene with the kid in the Halloween mask getting killed. Whether he was a brat or not, I found it mean-spirited. Don't get me wrong, I'm more of a puppy than a people person, but what did you think about that and the intentions of the antagonist?
Fuck them kids.
I love the plot. I think it's a great idea for a horror movie for a reason.
It is mean-spirited, but it's a horror movie, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that it pushes the boundaries. But I will agree it's mean-spirited. All right, let's jump over to the old...
So is Terrifier and I Spit on Your Grave and, you know, the genre as a whole. So anyway.
Yeah. All right, let's go over to Twitter now.
X.
Drunk and Impossibly Tan, X, formerly known as Twitter. Drunk and Impossibly Tan comment, how creepy is Tom Atkins in this? Scale of 1 to yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Andrew Ferguson commented, it isn't too bad as a standalone non-canon film. See, I feel like a lot of people are starting to come around to that. Kevin Scanlon commented, I don't hate this movie like a lot of people do, but it definitely ranks low in my Halloween rankings. The only films I put below this are Halloween Ends, Halloween 5, Zombies Halloween 2, and Halloween Resurrection. Hey, man, I'm tired of Resurrection catching slander.
He just like me for real.
Nice.
Chan commented, if they had stuck with the original plan of every Halloween movie being something different and Halloween 3 had been Halloween 2, I don't think it would get as much hate as it does.
I agree with that.
I really don't have a problem
point.
with it being Halloween 3, really. Like, 2, like, I don't love 2, but, like, it served a point. Like, it wasn't meaningless.
Right.
Yeah,
it was
but
the same. It was the same night. Like,
yeah, but if you took it out and wanted what Carpenter wanted, which was just one movie with Michael Myers as the boogeyman, I do think Halloween 3 maybe looked at a little bit differently. That's all.
Definitely, or if they just continued, Halloween 4 is a new installment, or even a continuation of this story. Halloween 5 is a new story, but they didn't. They went right back, and so that's what makes it stand out so much to people like me who didn't see this movie until so many of the movies were out.
Sure.
Yeah, but Carpenter wasn't part of 4, though. Like, that's the
right.
It like you mentioned, though, it's a train wreck of a franchise.
He went on to make his best movie, Ghost of Mars, anyway.
All right, Mr. Go Dogs himself, he dropped a few tweets or posts, whatever they call them now. It has so many horror legends: Tom Atkins, Dick Warlock, John Carpenter, Tommy Lee Wallace. The soundtrack is amazing. First off, my favorite horror movie franchise is Halloween. Michael Myers is my favorite slasher, so I understand all the hate that this movie gets. But as a standalone movie, it's fantastic. It just feels like Halloween. I kind of wish they would have continued the anthology every year. I'm kind of with you with the, especially with like Fear Street going on. I kind of feel the same way. My favorite kill is Marge. Favorite kill. God damn it. Sorry. Come on, Randy. My favorite kill is Marge. Favorite kill. The special effects look awesome. And it's my least favorite kill would be Ellie, since it's off camera. Or was she a robot the whole time? Which would mean Tommy Atkins was before his time with a sex robot.
there you go. There you go.
It's the ultimate fuck them kids movie. To wrap it up, it's an 8 out of 10 and is better than people give credit for. This is the undisputed best movie y'all have covered this year.
Whoa.
Hey, this year.
Yeah, this year. Okay.
Brian appreciated that one. This is the best movie y'all covered this year on the podcast. P.S. Hopefully next year we can meet in the playoffs. Go Dogs. Keep up being the best horror movie podcast. Appreciate that, brother.
I don't want to talk about it.
Playoffs?
I have no idea what you're talking about. All right, guys. If y'all got any fun facts, go ahead. Ooh, I'm tired from all them damn social media comments. Whew.
All right, I got a few here. We mentioned this one earlier, but Jamie Lee Curtis at around 55 minutes, she's the voice of the operator on the phone that Chalice keeps getting when he tries to call out at Santa Mira. And she's also the voice of the curfew announcement. At around an hour and 19 minutes, it took over 40 tries to get the shot when Tom Atkins throws the skull mask on the security camera. Director Tommy Lee Wallace revealed in the Cast 2015 reunion that the scene took longer than he expected because during the shoot, he playfully tossed the mask and caught it on the very first try. So I guess it is possible, but just come on. The gas station that's seen in this movie can also be seen in a better movie, John Carpenter's The Fog. After Daniel shouts, "Stop it." Oh, we mentioned this one about how it's supposed to be ambiguous about whether the kids lived or not. The fluid coming out of the robot's mouth is orange juice concentrate, which is hilarious to me because I wrote my Tropicana line before I knew that. So that's funny. Brian, you mentioned that Dean Cundy was a cinematographer and he also did the Back to the Future franchise. Well, this movie also features a DeLorean DMC-12 when Dr. Chalice is fighting one of the android assassins towards the end of the film. So that's cool. That's a cool way to tie those two together as well.
Well, the only one I have left is that Tom Atkins got pneumonia while acting in this movie. And coincidentally, I got pneumonia from watching this movie. Go ahead, Mike.
You know, it's probably because Elliot was fresh out of the shower dripping wet, and he got all that wetness on him and went outside in the cold air, got pneumonia.
Plus, if she was an android, she would have rusted. Yeah, I didn't think about that, too.
Rusty Cooter.
That's true. That's true. All right. So, Halloween 3 had a $4.6 million budget, and it grossed $14.4 million, which was down from the $25.5 million earned by Halloween 2. So apparently once word started to get around that Michael Myers was not in this movie, people stopped going out to see it. And that's essentially why we got Halloween 4, or the version of Halloween 4 that we ended up with.
All right, guys, into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating. Mike, go ahead and kick us off.
So my favorite kill is actually the pumpkin face melt. Iconic. I think it looks great. And it may not be like the best overall kill, but it always stands out to me. My least favorite kill is the drill kill off screen. We didn't get to actually fucking see it, and I wanted to see it. Like, that would have been really fucking cool. Look, I think the movie's good. I think it's underrated to a lot of, according to a lot of people, and it has its lovers, that consider it the best in the franchise or the second best or, as a big cult classic. So it's finally getting its flowers. So I'm not really breaking any ground by saying I like this movie. Enough people have come around to having it be its own thing as a standalone film to where it is enjoyable. I think the plot is great overall. I think there's some big problems with the movie, which we just nitpick through with a fine-tooth comb. But I think the story itself is genuinely creepy if done well, which is why a remake, a requel, a sequel, or any kind, I would not mind whatsoever, because I think there's a lot of meat on the bone here. Pause. So, and again, I love these three masks. I think they're great. I think the music is awesome. Carpenter and his crew did a great job with the music. It adds so much to this movie. Take his music out of this movie, and it's a significantly worse film, in my opinion. So, all that being said, I gave this film a flat 7.
All right. My favorite kill was getting squished by a 75 Malibu. Listen, that's a 1975 Chevy Malibu. How many deaths by Malibu have we seen on this show? None. So I'm going to give it to that, despite how slow motion it was and kind of ridiculous. Least favorite kill was Teddy. I think that's her name, when she got drilled in the head. That sounds like it's going to be a cool kill, but it was off screen. We didn't see anything. And like I said, I don't think that drill had a fucking battery in it, and there was no cord, so I don't buy the logic. As far as my closing thoughts and the rating, like I said, I went into this movie with a negative mindset. I was expecting to give this a 3 or below. That was the bar that I set in my head. But I overcame that. Like, I didn't let my negative preconceived thoughts win. I watched the movie for what it was and enjoyed it up until that last act. So the final act brought it down, or the ending really, and the logic of the ending brought it down for me from what it would have been, as did the fact, and I know this may be unfair, but the fact that it's a Halloween movie with no Michael Myers, the only one of the, 11 films I think we have now, 12, however many there are, it's the only one that he's not in or not even featured in. So that played into my score as well. So I gave it a 5, but I think that's very fair considering how I went into this movie thinking I was going to rate it, and, taking away the negatives of I'm going to penalize it for no Michael.
All right, I'll go next. Favorite kill, I picked Marge. Her face looked gnarly, and it was unexpected. But Little Buddy with the pumpkin mask is a very close runner-up. Least favorite kill, I'm complete opposite of you, Dustin. First suited man crushed by the car. But I just thought it was funny, and it looked horrible. Like he put up no fight, and
That's fair.
like when he got crushed, he just did the. I don't know. It just I hated it.
Well, how
All
would
right,
you
so I
look
just
if you got crushed between two cars?
I would get fucking crushed and die. He didn't. I don't know. It looked like he got punched in the arm or something. All right. I just wrote a little paragraph. October 30th, 2019, like you mentioned, Mike, me, Brian, and Mike ranked the Halloween franchise. I had no idea. It was episode 4. I didn't know what the fuck we were doing. I hadn't even seen this movie and ranked it last. Very unprofessional. I even said that in the damn review. I'm surprised it didn't get us a poor Apple review. But anywho, I did watch our first 31 ranking, but I went into the film with a bad attitude. When Randy picked this, I wasn't excited at all. However, I must admit I did enjoy the movie way more than expected. It's got 80s cheese and it's fun. Like many of our social media comments said, this gets a bad rap because of its title and there being no Michael. I think Tom Atkins is a cool dude and was fun in this. I guess I'm the one who doesn't think he's a villain. I will admit, Brian, like after you mentioned in The Fog, like the age difference, I did notice it a lot more in this. It was like they could have picked a different
So
lady
bad.
to be his love interest.
Yes.
I like the cast in the Silver Shamrock song. Shout out to Mike. Me and him both like it. I like that it was brave enough to kill kids and ended really dark. My qualms are some of the acting can be pretty bad, and like y'all mentioned, the plot is really hard to believe and take serious. Like that whole Stonehenge shit, like it just didn't work for me. Some scenes run on too long, and this could be a little bit shorter. Overall, I appreciate Randy picking this. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. I give it a 6 out of 10, and fuck the Georgia Bulldogs. I'll apologize. That's just me being emotional. Thanks again, Randy.
All right, let me bring our score total down a little bit. All the kids at the end who died were my favorite kill because, man, fuck them kids if that doesn't count. Then I'm going to go with Marge because the effects are great. My least favorite kill, Ellie, maybe, because if she was a human, we didn't see shit. And if she's not a human, then it was annoying how the robot got killed and it was stupid. Anyway, just as my summary in an attempt to not repeat myself, my record for hating on John Carpenter's movies continues. Although this one wasn't directed by him, it may as well have been since it was, his protege clone. The movie's not very good, even as a standalone, and that has nothing to do with it being part of the Myers saga at this point in my life anymore. Maybe they should have remade this in Halloween Ends. It would have been better than what we got. Anyways, I'm giving this one points for its effects that were great, soundtrack, cinematography, but that's pretty much it. It gets a 2.5 from me.
God
When
damn.
you said you're giving it a 0.4 its effects, I thought you said you're giving it a 0.4, and my heart almost dropped out of my ass. A 0.4?
Not that bad.
So
2.5.
how about this, guys? That makes our composite score of 5.125. IMDb 5.1. Hell
Look
yeah!
at us.
Y'all are
Look
welcome.
at us.
Hey, what's the composite if you add Randy's 8?
Oh, he gave it an 8. Okay, let me.
Yeah.
5.7.
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
Any final thoughts before I just shout out the blood donors?
I can lower mine down so I can get our average back to 5.1.
You
I'm not gonna lie,
asshole.
Brian. You threw me off. I thought you were gonna be a little higher than 2.5 because you was like, man, it wasn't that bad. Then it's like, man, fuck it, it's 2.5.
So-
All right, hell yeah.
I will say,
That was bad.
with them stealing part of Stonehenge, I immediately thought of Despicable Me when he stole the fucking pyramid. I was like, damn, who is the supervillain? Is Cochran? Is that Gru? Is that what's going on here?
You could write a movie linking the two together if you want. 2024, buddy.
I don't get the reference. Anywho,
God damn it.
What?
shout out our blood donors. Randy Smith, final guy donor. Appreciate you, brother. We just reviewed his movie. And, we've reviewed 3 blood donor reviews in a row now. If you have a movie you want us to review, go to our website, don'tgooutthere.com. Just click on blood donors and that option's available. Camper level recurring Clayton J, Nina, Michelle Mirza, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, Eric Doolittle, Sean Irwin, Kelsey Miller, Christopher James, and Michael Evans. Camp Counselor reoccurring Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Kyla Denise, all the way from Australia. Adrian Aiello, that was probably a terrible impression. Karen.
That
That was
great.
bad.
It was
Was it-
awful, buddy. It was awful, buddy.
Australia.
Nope. Move on.
Fuck off. Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Matt Strickland, and Brooke Maley. Appreciate y'all. Y'all take a big burden off of us. It means a lot to us. Shout out to Brooke Maley. I didn't know who she was on IG, but I saw one of her posts, and it was really cool how she found our podcast, and she's a big fan, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Brian,
That was awesome.
kicking off January with our picks. This is a free month. It's a free month, excuse me. Brian, announce your pick for next week. I think we're all pretty excited for this one.
Brian, myself, I am picking an A24 film. I just want everybody to understand and respect that. I'm picking 2022's
Growth.
Talk to Me. Talk to me.
That's growth. I love it.
It's a new year, new Brian. Let's go. Look at this guy, huh?
Hell yeah, brother.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I like
the funny
that.
part is I'm probably going to be the lowest of all four of us, and I'm the A24 guy. But anywho, Randy, appreciate it again. Appreciate your continued listenership and the blood donorship, if that's how you say it. We appreciate it. Fuck the Georgia Bulldogs and go Noles.
Talk to me is Oculus with a hand.
Just want to remind everybody.